Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to IBC's largest live virtual show. This is the Big AR Sports Show.
Hello and welcome to the Big AR Sports Show. My name is Chris Black, and today I'm going to show you how you can enhance any broadcast with augmented reality graphics in the studio. This is going to allow you to tell more stories, tell them better, and excite your audience at the same time. So first off, let me tell you a little bit about the tools that we're using here today in our studio. Just behind me, I have this massive video wall from Unilumin, and this is going to allow us to place virtual sets in the studio without the need of a green screen or blue screen. Just in front of me, we have a camera mounted on an equipment crane. This is a mechanical tracking system, and as the camera moves around the studio, you're going to be able to see that movement in the virtual set. Also, right over here, we have a black cam, robotic camera. That's also going to be moving through this studio to be able to give us more tracking for movement in the studio. And then our director is driving the entire production using the Vizrt augmented reality and virtual set control system that premiered this year at IBC. The system allows you to very easily drive your augmented reality graphics, not just for every show, but for every story. So let's get started. Let's take a look at some of the graphics that we have here today. Just behind me, I have this virtual set already loaded into our video wall, and it's a little dark. Why don't we bring the lights up, please? There we go. Very nice. Now we're using real-time lighting in the virtual studio to be able to light the full virtual set. And this is using the new Vizrt 4, which gives us physically based rendering to give you that nice photorealistic look and feel that you want to have for your virtual sets. Now we can also apply this to augmented reality graphics. So let's bring some AR into the studio today. All right, we got the Vizrt 4 logo coming up just here in front of me. We have some of the materials that we have part of our database already added to the 4 here. But let's switch over to the black cam and take a closer look at this. We're going to start panning down here, and you can see as we're changing these materials, Vizrt 4 has a wide variety of different materials that you can use to work with and a very robust editor so that you can change them and edit them to meet your desired designs. But we can also do this for much more complex objects than just these virtual sets and AR. Let's bring in something a little bit more here. How about we bring in our friend Cletus? Here he comes. And bam, right here in the studio, there's Cletus now joining us here in the virtual studio. Now, Cletus here is a very high-resolution, massive 3D model that we've been able to apply all the same features that you see in the virtual set behind us to the model itself, such as that nice lighting effect, some nice textures, and also the soft shadow to be able to tie the AR object to the studio floor, being able to tie both worlds together. And as we move the camera around, you see it does have some very nice photorealistic look and feel to the AR object. But let's take Cletus away and take a closer look at some other AR tools that we have in the studio. Let's open up the Vizrt basement and see what else we have down there. There we go. This is the 2019 Ducati from MotoGP. Now, this is designed by Dorna, this model. So we're able to bring in, again, real-time rendering with this using Vizrt 4. But we're also adding an HDR lighting and materials to this to give you that really nice photorealistic look and feel with the lights hitting it. In fact, we actually have the real bike just around the corner here from our stage. So right after the show, you should check it out. See if you can see the difference between the real bike and the model that you see here. But let's do a little bit more with virtual sets and take a look at the virtual studio here behind me. Let's change this out to a different studio for a moment. Here we go for the Tokyo Summer Games. Now, this is another virtual studio that we've added to the video wall behind us, so you get that nice depth as the camera's moving around. But also, I have a pretty large studio space here, but it can always be bigger. Let's see how we can increase the size of my studio space using AR graphics. So we're going to use set extensions to really open this up and add in more content for our studio. So we can already see how we've been able to extend the studio that way. Let's switch over to the black cam robot and take a closer look at how else we can do this. Let's start rotating this around out into the audience. There we go. So we can already see we're expanding the studio. Now we're out of the physical studio almost completely and pointing the camera right out there. So now all of you are part of this new virtual set. So here we can see that we have those real-time reflections on there, some beautiful lighting, and all of this is coming in real time with the virtual studio. What this means is you can take your physical studios today and augment them using AR graphics, expanding them to give you a lot more space to be able to tell different kinds of stories. But we can also work with you using green screens and blue screens when you're doing chroma keying. With the new Vizrt Engine 4 system, we also have the Fusion Keyer, which allows us to do perfect keying in any environment. So we went to ORF in Austria earlier this year and shot this little video so that you can see a little bit of how the keying works. So when we go over to the green screen, you'll see some of the problems that we have with nice big green screens. You have this throw on the screen spill on my face and on my shirt. But when we switch over to the keying itself, we're already having a very nice key on the background. We can do some soft edges here, and we got rid of that green spill. We can also create light wrapping, which is going to take the colors of the background and wrap them around the edges of the presenter. That's going to give you the artificial look of a perfect key in any virtual set environment. Okay, so let's now talk about the Olympics again. Let's go back over here to Tokyo 2020 Summer Games and take a look at what we can do here. So the thing about the Summer Games is you're covering a lot of different sports, and you need to explain that to your audience in an easy to understand way. So let's take a look at a few different kinds of sports and see how we can use AR to be able to explain them. Let's first bring in something like cycling. All right, so we have a 3D model of the cyclist here in the studio, but let's do a little bit more than this. Let's take him away and bring in these clay models of a cyclist. So here we have the clay models of the cyclist. Now, what I'm doing right now is I'm using the Stipe follow system to be able to create an artificial wind tunnel, to be able to show this. And now we're using this to be able to show how the model of the aerodynamics is being affected by wind. You can see it's very, very interactive. But what I can do here is really get in here and take a look at this. So we'll get right there. That's a very nice spot. So we can see the wind resistance that the first cyclist is having to encounter when he's cycling down the street. Then the cyclist right behind him, he's able to get in there right into that slipstream, which gives him a much more power. He actually can get up to 20 to 30% more power by staying within the slipstream of the cyclist in front of him. Now, when you have a team of cyclists all working together, when they're working together with that slipstream, then they can all change places and continue to have a lot of speed and power working together as a team. Now, this is a pretty complex thing to be able to show, but using augmented reality and different types of interactive tools like that makes it very clear to the audience about what's happening during that sport. But let's do a couple other things with different sports. Let's bring in golf, for instance. All right, so here we have some golf player added to the studio. Now, unlike all the other graphics that you've seen earlier today, which were all created by a designer, this is actually a volumetric photo scan of a real golfer made by Art Fabric. So a golfer stood in their system and they were able to take a 360-degree photo of them and turn that into a high-resolution 3D model. Now to add in my studio, I can then use the same Stipe follow system to be able to trigger content on and off. So I can go through the entire process of looking at the different layers of the swing, and have that revealing based upon my location in the studio. So this is a nice way of being able to give your presenter the way of being able to talk about what's happening in the studio and then driving the pacing of the conversation. All right, so we've looked at some AR content. Now let's see what we can do from actual sports video. So let's go over to volleyball. Here we have some volleyball video footage. Now we're going to use Vizrt Libro, our sports analysis system, to be able to analyze what's happening on the court. So we can highlight some of the players, and then we can also take this straight down into AR in the studio with the actual match footage. So we can freeze some of the players, take a look at the ball trajectory, also take a look at what the opposing team needs to be able to do to get in position to block it. And all of this can be happening as part of augmented reality analysis in the studio space, and then taking it right back out to the game footage again. But not only can we have the game footage in the studio, we can also bring the entire game in the studio. All right, so let's do that. Let's bring some volleyball into our studio here today. There we go. So now I've got, basically it's 3 against 1 here, but that's all right. I've got a pretty good leap here to try to block that ball. So now we have these very high resolution 3D models of the different volleyball players that are life-size. We're going to start using the black cam to go in here and take a closer look as we move around them. Now we can also see proposed trajectories of the ball as part of AR elements to tell our story. So we're combining a number of different things here. We have the game footage, we have the models, we have the analysis of the ball trajectory, all life-size so that I can interact with them in the studio space. Now, the studio that we have here today is actually quite large. So why don't we take advantage of that and bring in a much larger 3D model into the studio? So Our friends at Platige Image, they have created the graphics package for the 2020 Euros that is available for rights holders. And we have some of those elements in our studio today, including this amazing large stadium that we have here. This is their fantasy stadium. And it's a massive 3D model. We can go right in there with the camera and take a closer look at the stadium itself. And you can see the fans in the audience there getting really engaged, ready to see the next match. When we're taking these large 3D models like this and then using the studio space and the cameras, we can tie all these worlds together to give you the perfect way to be able to tell a complex story with augmented reality graphics that is engaging your viewers and also informing them about the complexities of the sport. So that's what we're doing here. We're allowing the broadcasters to be able to tell more stories, tell them better, all with AR and virtual sets. Now, everything that you've seen here today was designed with Vizrt, our design platform. The thing about Vizrt is it's free. You can go to Vizrt.com right now and download your free copy of Vizrt and start designing right away. We have a wide number of users all over the world that will help you out to learn the system. So give it a shot. Why not? And next time, I might be using one of your graphics. So we've had a lot of partners helping us out with the show. I want to thank all of them. And I want to thank all of you for coming out to see us here today. Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye.